Salam guys, welcome to Honest Hour with your host Habiba Salim. Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back to the final episode of Honest Hour with your host Habiba Salim. So today I'm joined with, it's no surprise anymore. All my guests have been amazing throughout all of the series. And the guest I'm joined with is another, lo and behold, uni friend. Her name is Salmon. Hello, Salmon.
Hi, Habiba.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Salmon. What are you doing? What are you studying?
So I'm studying international relations and law. I'm in my final year, and then I'm hoping to hopefully, inshallah, go into tech or like legal tech.
Yes.
So that's what I'm working towards.
So cool. Salmon's like the code breaking type of girl. She knows all of that sort of stuff. But so again, me and Salmon, we met in university during our time at uni. We got a lot closer, I would say, in our second/final year of university. And the topic that I really wanted to focus with Salmon on today is the topic of hijab. And I know if those who are listening, you've probably listened and been exposed to various different experiences with and different experiences with people's hijab stories, and I really wanted to discuss that with Salmon today because we'll get into it. Salmon, what you break it down for us. Let's start with you. Where did your hijab journey begin?
Okay, so this is a long one. Okay, so obviously you know that I went to an Islamic school for secondary. So as part of our uniform, we had to wear hijab. So obviously during secondary, I was wearing the hijab, obviously just as a uniform. But for example, if we went outside as motives, I wouldn't take my hijab off straight away. I know some people would, and that's completely fine. That's up to them. But I personally wouldn't because I felt like it was already adding, if I did that and I was taking off in public, that would kind of add to the stereotype of like, oh, Muslims are oppressed, or this and that. So I wouldn't, I just wouldn't do that. And then what happened was that
we're just pausing just briefly. Salmon, there's just been someone in her room, so we're just telling that we're filming right now. Go ahead, Salmon, continue.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. And then that happened, and obviously our Islamic school ended at year 11. There was no continuation, so you had to kind of look for a college or a sixth form to go to after. And then, so for sixth form, I went to a grammar school, and that's when obviously I didn't wear the hijab because obviously it wasn't part of the uniform anymore. And of wearing it consistently for 5 years every day at school, it kind of, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it becomes kind of like an identity, and it becomes a part of you subconsciously.
Yeah.
So when I left and when I wasn't wearing it, even though for the first few months it was okay, after a while it just kind of felt like something was missing, like a part of me was kind of missing. So and then I realized it was the hijab. I was like, okay, you know what, like I want to wear it. And it was something that was constantly on my mind for quite a long time. So what I then did was, because there wasn't a lot of hijabis in sixth form, so it was also that I was like, okay, it feels kind of a bit of an awkward, it's kind of like an awkward transition right now, to make that transition right now. When I'm like a few months in my new sixth form, most of my friends are like, white. I don't have a lot of Muslim friends, so it's kind of hard to make that transition. So I was like, okay, once I finish sixth form, I mean, it's only 2 years of A levels, I'll wear it in uni, and I'll start it in uni. Because I'm meeting new people, there'll be new faces, no one really knows me, no one knows the story. Like, it'll just be like as if I've been wearing hijab for such a long time. So yeah, and then obviously that didn't really happen. That didn't go as planned. So when I started uni, and as uni was getting closer, like there were just loads of, I guess, conflicts and debates that I was having with myself. Um, Things like, am I dressing properly? Am I modest enough? Am I like, I'm still wearing skinny jeans? Like, but like, all those kind of dilemmas that you're having, I was just kind of going through them. So then I just kind of was like, okay. So I just started uni, didn't wear a hijab. And yeah, like I said, it always felt like a part of it was missing. And then I think in second year, and I think Saba mentioned a bit of her hijab story a few days ago. So Saba mentioned how, she started at uni and, like, so because we kind of spoke about it that summer, and from like, that's why she kind of went ahead of it and I didn't. And obviously, Saba had a gap year and then she joined Sarah. Well, she joined, uni. And so when we would have our breaks, because she's obviously doing all with me, when we would have our breaks, we would just speak about hijab, and she would ask me if I was thinking about it. And I think from that kind of like sparked kind of like the topic of hijab and like me wanting to wear it. I mean, because I was already having thoughts throughout first year anyway, but I think because she was kind of asking me more regularly and she was approaching it more often than I was thinking about it, it just sparked it. So I think that was one of the factors, but at the same time, I was going through a very, very difficult period in my life at that time. So just for a bit of context for the listeners, this is now the beginning of second year. So the end of first year till the beginning of second year was quite a rough couple of months, I would say. Yeah, it was a couple of rough months. So my granddad, we found out that he had cancer. He was in his last stage. So that was quite difficult. So in first year, in November, his health deteriorated significantly. And obviously I flew out the last minute to see him. And I think that's when it really hit me. When you see someone taking the last few breaths, it really is, it really does hit you how short life is, and it makes you question your purpose and why you're kind of here. And that was, that was like a really big event in my life. And then a week after, when I came back, I tutor, so I tutor. And this girl that I tutor, her brother passed away a week after, and he was only a year younger than us. And he passed away whilst he was driving. And again, that hit me as well, because something that I do on a regular basis, something that we all probably do on a regular basis, where, we just drive casually, or like, even just minor things that we're doing in our days that we consider as a normal thing, it can happen to any of us. And that's when it really hit me, and I started to realize, okay, like, you know what, I always say that I want to wear the hijab, so why am I longing it out? Why am I dragging it out? Why am I like, there's no guarantee if I am going to have tomorrow. And I think that's what really hit me, because it was like, I keep on saying tomorrow, but what if there is actually no tomorrow? And I kind of, I guess, had to have those dilemmas that I was having before I started uni, I was still having them. I was still questioning, like, am I modest enough? Am I this enough? But what if this? Or what if I have to stop this or that? Like, do I have to change myself completely, or this and that? Like, I was still having them. But I think after speaking to you and speaking to our other friends, what I kind of realized is that I don't actually need to change myself. Like this whole conception of like needing to change yourself, it doesn't need to happen.
Or like this idea of having to be ready to put on.
Yeah, 100%. Like you'll never be ready for anything, especially like big steps like, you know, hijab, marriage, things like that. Like you'll never fully be ready for them. You have to kind of, I guess, like when it comes, you have to just kind of
Take that
kind of, yeah, you need to take that step and kind of shape your life around it, if that makes sense. So with the hijab, like I kind of had to just sit myself down and have like chat to myself and just be like, okay, like what is actually stopping me? And you know what? The truth is literally nothing. Like now that I think about it, like all those like questions I had, they kind of spun a lot, like kind of answered themselves, kind of figured themselves out. All the stresses and worries that I was having, they no longer are here anymore. And literally a few days ago, I was literally thinking, like, you know what? I forget that I was even a hijabi. Like that I was not a hijabi at all. I was like, you know what? This feels so natural. Like it just feels so natural to me.
Pictures of salmon, like when we're all like our group photos, and then I even forget that. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
I feel like we've known, like as soon as you put on hijab, it's all you've known for a very, very long time. It becomes, like you said, part of your identity.
Yeah, and like I remember one of our friends was like, "Oh, you've been wearing hijab for like more than a year," and I was like, "Whoa, it hasn't even been a year yet. Like it's just been a couple of months. Like it's crazy." So yeah, and then okay, so yeah, I just had that chat with myself. I think, and what I came to the realize, and obviously after chatting with you guys, what I came to the realization is that there's a couple of realizations. I'll try and break it down. So one is that everyone will be comfortable with hijab like at a different period of their life. So I know with you, like when I was speaking to you, you were comfortable, and then obviously when you came to uni, you went through like that whole, not a crisis, but you know, like you became more comfortable. You kind of crashed, like figured out your comfortable way of wearing it and what suited you more. And with our other friends, some of them it took them a year to get comfortable. Some of them it took them a month. So I had to kind of realize that like it's okay if it didn't feel natural at first, and it's okay for it to take time to adjust and for me to kind of get used to it. I think that was one of the realizations I had. Another one was that in terms of like being modest and changing my dressing and changing this and that, I think the one thing I kind of had to realize is that no one is perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like we're always going to be doing something, and like you're never going to be perfect. I mean, you can try your very best, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like trying your best and trying to be the best version of yourself. As cringy as it sounds, it's true. So I think I had to realize that like things that I wanted to work on, I can do them simultaneously whilst also wearing the hijab.
That's so important.
Which is like it doesn't have to be, you know, one before the other. It's all like I can do them both at the same time. I can change my modest. I can change my clothing whilst wearing the hijab. And it wasn't
it and see what you're comfortable with and do an experiment still.
Yeah.
Still wearing the hijab. It's not as if you put it on and then you're khalas, like you are bound to one style, one look, one material. Like that's just not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for most of first year, I think subconsciously my dressing changed anyway. So when it came to putting the hijab on, it wasn't like a drastic change. Do you know what I mean? The only change I probably made is from like mum jeans to joggers. That's literally the only change I probably made. So
it wasn't like you had to go out and buy a brand new wardrobe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think, and even if, you know, like if you like, I occasionally wear still skinny jeans, and that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's just about you finding out what you are comfortable with, and what you are comfortable with. And I think that's what's important. But like this whole thing of like having one thing ready before the other, or doing one thing before the other. Like if you're gonna be trapped in that cycle if you kind of keep on thinking about that, because it will never happen. Something will, you'll always kind of find flaws within yourself to fix that. So I think that's one of the other realizations. Another thing was so obviously so now we've kind of discussed, like, my thoughts and processes. So when it kind of came to it, I think having a support
step and like on your head.
Yes. So so I was thinking about it from November to like up until January, and then I put it on in February. So when I put it on, so I kind of had it planned out in my head. So I kind of did it a bit strategically, I guess you could say, in the sense that like, so I put the hijab on, and obviously I gave myself like a trial kind of period to see how I would first feel. And in that trial period, I remember I said to you and like to our other friends, like, can you guys please not post me when you see me wearing hijab? And the main reason for that is because I know myself very well, and I know that, people can criticize you. So if someone sees you in a hijab, they'll automatically assume that you're hijabi. But if they see you without, and then the next day they see you without hijab, it's like, oh, like, she's like wearing it on and off. She's like a part-time hijabi and this and that. Like, I was aware of all of these, like, conversations that people have and these conceptions that there are. And I knew that even if someone wasn't saying it to me to my face, or if they were saying it behind my back, I knew that those conversations would still probably made me occur.
Or that people would think that, or it would be a bit confusing for some, especially when you
exactly.
Yeah, of course.
And so I knew that, and I knew myself, and I knew that would kind of put me off. So that was one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I don't want anyone posting me, because I don't want to have that like confusion and stress on top. So that was one thing. And then another thing was that when I did put it on, I posted it, I remember exactly during reading week. It was reading week. And I wanted to kind of,
for those who the listeners don't know, it's basically like half term. So everyone was at home and everyone wasn't going into university.
Yes. So I kind of put it when I posted it, I posted it so mainly when I come back to uni, people don't see it as a big of a shock.
Yeah.
And also, so I posted during reading week because people, when I come back, people don't see it as a big of a shock, or like, are like, oh my God, you're wearing the hijab, or like this or that. So that was one of the reasons. And alhamdulillah, like, what, it played out really, really well. Like, it worked really well. Obviously now, having been wearing the hijab for nearly a year now, and this couple of months, alhamdulillah, it's I think there were also so many realizations I had after as well.
Yeah.
It's such a big topic, and there's so much that actually goes on. And I think Sabah slightly touched upon this, like when you wear hijab, you're kind of labeled as religious, and when you're not wearing it, you're labeled as non-religious. And I got those questions as well. I got questions like, when I wasn't a hijabi, I was like, oh, you're religious? You pray 5 times a day? Really? What else do you do? Do you fast? Do this? Do that? And it's like, I do the same things that you do. Like, there's no difference. I still, do the 5 obligations that, we're commanded to do. And I think, like, even in terms of like wearing the hijab, like deciding if I want to start off with a turban or starting with like a full thing, because that's a whole nother debate as well. Like, you have people, being like, turban's not a proper hijab, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not covering your neck, you're showing this, you're showing that. That's like a whole debate itself. So even after like putting on the hijab, like there was still like things that I needed to figure out, and things that like I had to kind of deal with. I think what a blessing was the fact that we were in lockdown really, really kind of helped a lot.
Then you got to trial and test out.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I think one of the big realizations, one of the big things that kind of helped me, I guess, I wouldn't say it's a realization, but thing that really helped me is that I kind of took the whole pressure of like not posting on social media off of me. And that was a really big thing. And it was so relieving.
Yeah.
Because going from like, so I hardly ever used to post on social media on like Instagram and stuff before uni. Yeah. So obviously when we got to uni and when, you know, I saw loads of people posting, you kind of naturally feel inclined to post as well.
Of course, yeah.
And in first year and a bit of second year, I posted quite a bit, or at least more than regularly than I was posting. And I think when I put the hijab on, that kind of took like a switch back. And I just took the whole pressure off of me, because it's like, you know what, like because I'm still trying to figure it out, it was like the pressure of kind of looking good as well at the same time. You want to, because you're new, you want to look good at the same time. Do you go? Yeah. You know how you look.
You want to not prove yourself, but I was the same when I put on my hijab. Gosh, it feels like genuinely years and decades ago. I feel like a different human. But when I put it on, I felt this obligation or this pressure to like to show, hey, look, I'm still pretty in hijab. I'm still pretty. Like, look at me. And I felt the exact same thing. I felt that I needed to prove myself to be like this Insta, you know, hijabi cool girl that can do it all, and she still looks good with hijab. And I fell into that as well. And I think so many people fall into that.
It's like you're kind of seeking validation from yourself, but also from other people as well, subconsciously. And obviously when you're like, I know that, you know, when I look back, I'm like, when I had my hair out, I'm like, yeah, I know I had my hair out. Like, those are people complimented it. My hair was dyed, you know, this, that. Like, so I knew the step that I was making was, you know, a very significant one, and it's big. So obviously, like, and knowing the fact that, like, you know, you want to look good, but also then you want to post about it so that you feel good, it's just very, like, I don't know, it was very conflicting. And I think also at the same time, bear in mind that I barely used to, I mean, the most I would wear in terms of makeup for uni was mascara and concealer. That's literally the most. So I was still trying to kind of like feel natural in a way, but also kind of feel good. Yes. So I think just taking that pressure off from social media was just so nice, because I didn't have to deal with anything. I didn't have to like post for any self-validation or like for anyone, or like to feel good. I didn't have to, like, you know, prove myself to anyone. And also, like, I don't know, I think it's just like when you're scrolling through social media, you're always finding people. It was really hard to basically find people that weren't wearing makeup or that didn't have a picture.
I've spoken about this so much, definitely. And just to cut you off, Salman, we have to break for our ads right now. But guys, we are in the middle of such an important conversation, so please make sure to tune in right after the ads.
You are listening to Ramadan FM. Feed your soul while your body fasts.
Come and visit us at Al Ansar and find fantastic deals on food and drink. At Al Ansar, we specialize in Asian groceries and HMC halal meat. We stock products from all over the world and have everything you need this Ramadan, from big packs of rice, flour and oil to dates, treats and snacks. You can find us at 153 Queens Way in Bletchley, or call us on 01908 411 334.
Allah has bestowed us with another Ramadan. Its days are the perfect time to help the suffering Ummah with our supplications and our charitable giving. Make the difference with UK charity Ummah Welfare Trust by supporting its emergency, development and Ramadan programs. We are part of the Ummah. and the Ummah is a part of us. So be generous and donate for our brothers and sisters this Ramadan.
German Doner Kebab wishes you Ramadan Kareem. Enjoy your doner after dusk with us and choose from the original Doner Kebab, the K-Cal, the Doner Crunch Burger, or perhaps the Boss Box and so much more. You can find your nearest GDK at GermanDonerKebab.com or bring the Ramadan experience to your doorstep by signing up for your Ramadan pack at RamadanTentProject.com. German Doner Kebab. Kebabs done right.
Ramadan Mubarak from Caprino's Pizza. After a long day of fasting, order our delicious pizzas, sides, cookies, and much more to break your fast. During this Ramadan, we are offering 15% off if you order online, as well as free delivery, plus special offers if you collect. You can order from Just Eat, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, and our website, caprinospizza.co.uk. For more details, contact 01908 675 947 or visit North 10th Street, Lloyd's Court, Milton Keynes City Centre, MK9 3EL.
Parenting in Islam is about raising awareness of both deen and dunya. It's about understanding the ibadah, adab, and ikhlaqiyat. Join me, Sadia, every Sunday, 10 to 11 a.m. and let's share each other's experiences of parenting.
Venture into the world of Islamic literature and writing with our new show, Ramadan Reading Retreat.
Aisha, Rumaisa and Sharza will bring to the airwaves all things bookish, from e-readers to the dog-eating debate.
Join us as we discuss topics such as our Ramadan reads, modern Muslim publishing, transformational books, and reading in the modern age.
Everyone is welcome to our retreat, every Saturday at 3 p.m.
For a list of all our sponsors, please visit ramadanfm.com.
Ramadan, 87.9 FM.
Salam guys, welcome to Honest Hour with your host Habiba Salim. Salam guys, welcome back from the ad break. I hope we have you all listening because I'm joined with the amazing Salman and we were just discussing the topic of hijab, her story with hijab, her experience with hijab and sort of the realizations upon wearing the hijab. So Salman, you were mentioning how when you were scrolling through your feed, as soon as you put on the hijab, when you first sort of were new to the game, you can say, you failed to see any, if I want to say most, if not any, hijabi bloggers, influencers, or even just normal hijabis posting that weren't full, face makeup. So carry on with that.
Yeah, exactly like you said. So when I started wearing it, when I would go on Instagram, literally every single hijabi would be wearing makeup or would be dressed up or this. And obviously, coming from us, who wear joggers every day, who literally go bare face out, I was just like, okay, this is so, and I think it's just part of it is is this how I'm meant to look now? Mm-hmm. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Are people is this how my beauty is kind of it needs to be shown now that I'm not showing my hair?
Sort of compensated through my face because I don't have my hair.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you kind of just have a look, it's just honestly, I remember saying this to someone that there is literally, and why is everyone always wearing makeup? And no, there's nothing wrong with it, don't get me wrong, but it's very hard for people who want to be raw or for people who are looking for inspiration to, be as natural as possible. It's very hard to find that on social media. So, and I think part of, beauty standards and that whole thing plays in, obviously nowadays you can see like loads of people getting lip fillers, nose jobs, and this and that. So it's, you know, there's a lot of things that still play in. So when you're seeing a lot of that on your social media, and it's just, you know, constantly like, you know, it fills up with a lot of things, it makes you question yourself. It makes you think like, you know, am I pretty enough? Do I look good enough? Am I meant to look like this? Am I like this and that? So I think taking off the pressure of social media helps with that, because it's like, you know what, I actually don't need to prove to myself. If I'm looking like, if I'm going out barefaced and someone sees me, they see me. You know what? Like that's me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I don't need to like dress up and like prove myself, or like, you know, I don't need to kind of, I guess, kind of like put myself in, like, I don't need to kind of, well, there's a word that I'm looking for.
No, I know what you're trying to say. I think it's just this idea of, you know, like you're saying, when you are out in our natural element, like Sama was saying, like us as a group, we like beg to wear joggers at every motive. Like we just are not those type of girls. Like we don't, you know, enjoy doing full face glam. We don't enjoy, like, that to me is like a wedding now, which is crazy. Because, like, again, in my earlier stages of hijab, I used to go out in full glam, like, and I would put on makeup to school. I would wear, and it mind boggles me now at the age of 21. But I guess it's also a process, and it's part of the growth as a human, first and foremost, and then with your hijab journey. I'm sure so many people listening can relate to this change of, you know, yourself, because you do change, you know, you grow and you develop as an individual. And it's just this idea of having hijabi, I don't even like the term hijabi, you know, as a title, because we're not homogenous, we're not one. There's so many different types, and I'm Habiba, you are Sam, and we are our own identity, and we happen to wear hijab. We are not defined by our hijab, which I think again, it was another massive lesson for me to have to learn when I did put on the hijab, and then you get, again, going to university, meeting a bunch of new people, you are bracketed into this category, but it's almost realizing that I'm not that. And for those who think I am, they can think that, but I can just keep it stepping. But sorry, bringing it back to the whole makeup, going natural, all of that stuff. I think it's so crucial to take social media out of the equation. Had I taken social media out of the equation, I think in my early stage of hijab, I probably wouldn't have struggled as much, for sure. Like, I can probably vouch on that, because there's, like you're saying, it's this external pressure to perform, but for what? Like, for actually what?
Exactly.
For who?
Literally, for who? Like, well, and you know what? And you know, I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously, the only thing that I probably did add onto my routine is wearing eyeliner, and that's obviously, that's literally, I just added that, and because that made me feel better when I was first wearing it. But obviously now even though I have it as eyeliner as part of my routine now, I am now also at the place where I can go barefaced outside, and I don't need to worry about how I'm looking. I've also and it's a journey for everyone to go. I mean, it takes long, it's a process, it's also whatever you're comfortable with, and it's also, I think, like, because we're all of us are on the same level, on the same mindset of, like, you know, just being barefaced, being comfortable, that kind of also helps. So it also depends on, like, who you're surrounded by as well.
So imagine all of us just beat our face every single day, and then you're the only girl who's, you know, got an actual you feel sort of out of place, or you feel a bit like, oh, like you're saying, maybe I need to look like that, maybe to look put together is to look like that, and you would feel that pressure from just your group.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think you mentioned about identity and how we all have our identities, and how hijabis are, you know, classified as one homogenous group. That is actually such like a big thing. Like, I remember when I first put it on, someone was like to me, like, I feel like you're such a completely different person now. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, I don't know, it just feels like, you know, you're so different now. And obviously, like, as in deen wise, like, yes, obviously that's because it's a step. Yes, as in my iman is stronger, my deen is stronger, you know, my foundation is stronger. But down to the core, to the personality, to the cheekiness, to the humor, everything. It's still me. Like, I'm still me, and that hasn't changed. And, you know, even though it's been a year, like, obviously, when you'll change, you know, over time, gradually, with things that you learn, things that, you know, you go through and your experiences. But at that time, I was still me. Do you know what I mean? So just because I put the hijab on overnight doesn't mean I'm a completely different person now. It just means that I have like different boundaries, maybe, and different, just different boundaries, different maybe expectations, but not for other people, for myself. And I think that was such a big thing. I was like, wow, like people actually think you change, like, and I knew that was kind of coming, but it's just like when it's coming from someone close to you, it's more like, oh, like, you know what, like I thought you would knew kind of better, like, you know, it's me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think literally, like, ultimately, never to, you know, take the credit away from the beauty and the essence of hijab, but ultimately it is wrapping your hair and covering your hair. It is essentially a piece of cloth on our head. I don't understand it. It's always bewildered me how someone can think that means that you've changed as a person. Like, I don't get it. It's literally, and again, not to strip it down to and simplify the essence of and the beauty of hijab, but in reality, that's what it is. All I'm doing differently from what I did yesterday is I'm tying my hair back and I'm putting on a piece of cloth to cover my hair. And that's essentially what it is. And I think the more people just begin to understand that this is just another form of ibadah. It is the equivalent of prayer. It's the equivalent of fasting. It is the equivalent of doing my zakah. It is a fard, and it's another obligation of me doing my ibadah. And that's all it should be left at. I think with hijab, because it's an outward form of ibadah, it has been very much in the eye and the spotlight. Like, so much more than needs be, and so much more than required. And therefore, I feel like a lot of females, when they do make that step or are considering that step, they are dealt with so many more pressures, so many more concerns and ideas that are so, like, they don't exist if you want to one day wake up and try pray a bit more, or one Ramadan you're going to try and fast. You don't think, what will people say? Will people think I've changed, right? You just do it because it's a form of ibadah and you're trying to get closer to Allah and do what makes Allah happy. So I think the same should be and needs to be treated with the hijab, is that it's another, you know, act of worship, and that's all it is. It doesn't mean that that human has changed or is different. And maybe in some cases they do, you know, maybe in some cases people, when they want to do a complete transformation, they'll put on hijab and their personality might change. But in most cases, the person and their personality remains probably the exact same, but they've just done this new addition and they are spiritually, you know, they feel more spiritually inclined to do such an act to be closer to God.
100%, like literally exactly what you're saying. Even like I remember speaking to someone about it. They were like, and that person was like, you know, I was fulfilling all the fards. I was, you know, praying. I was giving my zakah. I was doing this and that. And you know, it was like the only step that I needed to take was wearing the hijab to show. She was like, what else can I do to actually show that I wear, like, as an act of faith? And for her, it was wearing the hijab. And I was like, you know what, that's actually so true. Like, it is just another act of worship for us. But because, you know, it's out there and everyone can see it, you know, everyone has loads of like, oh, you're changed or this or that, but it's really not. And even like when you're testing it out, the whole part-time hijabi and things like that, or wearing a turban, like all these debates and conversations that people have, it's so, I think it's just, you need to realize that you don't necessarily know what people are struggling with, and how hard it is. People who are like, oh, you're not wearing it correctly, just take it off, why are you wearing it? That's not right. If you're seeing someone praying wrong, are you going to tell them stop praying, or are you going to help them correct and advise them how to pray correctly?
Wow, I never thought of that. That is so true. That is so true. You're right. Because if someone, literally, if you saw someone praying and they weren't praying correctly, would you, like, I actually That is so true. You would never say to someone, okay, you might as well never pray. You might as well stop praying.
Exactly. You're going to actually help them, right? You're going to advise them and be like, wait, no, wait. This is the best. This is how you're supposed to do it. And, you know, this is like, these are the resources. These are what you can learn. This is how you should learn. You're going to advise them. But you have people who are like instantly backlash you. And even like when it comes to, like I said, I think I said this before, like the whole debate with turbans and stuff. Okay, fair enough. It might not be your approved method, but again, it might be what someone else feels like is hijab. And to just kind of discredit that, it's not right. And it's just, and also, like I said, you don't know what people are going through. Like maybe, you know, that person is wearing hijab, is wearing a turban because that's kind of like their back option. Like, you know, sometimes people, you kind of go through transitions of hijab sometimes. So sometimes people wear turbans because it might be comfortable for them. Sometimes people might wear turban because they might be struggling with wearing it, you know, the original proper way. And for them to still kind of have that element of keeping that hijab on, turban is a way for them. So that's another thing. Even if you're posting, you know, people just instantly come at you. So for example, I remember like it's like on Twitter, you'll find people posting, you know, the hijab stories, or like you'll find people who are like, oh, I just started wearing hijab and this and that. And maybe like a few months later, they'll probably post a picture, you know, and maybe a little bit of neck is showing or this or that. And then people have instantly come and like backlash them and attack them. And it's like, but, you know, that person is new. You're putting them off by kind of attacking them. You're putting them off and you're not helping the situation. You're just kind of fueling it and you're pushing them away even more.
It's like focusing on what's wrong and not what's right. Focusing on, okay, that is not perfect hijab, but you are missing the elephant and the biggest thing in the room, which is she's taking the step to actually do it. And like me and you both, like, you know, even I know some people, for example, who, and I think I remember like Salman in when you were about to transition, it sounds so funny, but when you were about to put on the hijab, I noticed like you would be wearing like less makeup. You would tie your hair in a bun. You would maybe sometimes wear a hood. And I've seen a very common theme of that, of modesty in not just, you know, it's not just one step and you're covering your hair immediately. But no, modesty in the sense of, okay, I might start wearing a looser clothes. I might start not wearing as much makeup. I might start tying my hair back, removing it from my face so, you know, it's not really there and looking fantastic, and curling it and straightening it. These are all valid steps if your intentions are correct. Like, I think with the correct intention, and this is the thing with hijab, and it's a very personal thing, like any spirituality or any even link between you and Allah, it is very personal and it's very, no one knows what's inside that person's heart. Like you're saying, you don't know what that person is going through. So we don't know the circumstances and situations of some people. Some people's parents might not approve. Some people's family might not approve of them wearing hijab. So their struggle is a lot more than mine, who, you know, alhamdulillah, and you, we had amazing families who supported us or whatever. Like, that's what I mean. It's not up for debate, I don't think. And so much of the concern of especially on social media, but I try to really stay away from that, especially like I don't even affiliate myself with that because it's just so unnecessary. But it's been that focus of just focusing on the negative and not the positive. And I think as a collective, the more we focus on the fact that, you know, mashallah, women are regaining their power through modesty, through this, and not just Muslim women. This is a massive trend all over the world now of high fashion, of modesty being something that's very admirable. And, you know, joggers are the new it, like joggers are the new jeans nowadays, because that's the push and that's where females are going towards, and that's how some females feel comfortable with. And I think that's where it should really be left at.
You know what? I think at the end of the day, regardless, if you're doing something good, regardless of whether it's good or bad, people are always going to say something. People are always going to criticize you. You can do something good and people will still find a flaw in it. And you can do something bad and people will still say something about it. And I think at the end of the day, it's just trying to kind of realize that you know what, regardless of what other people's going to say, you're still going to do you, and you're still just going to do you, because it's what, like you said, it's your intentions. You know what's in your heart, and you know what's valid. And as long as you know that, and you have the utmost faith in yourself, and you know that you are trying your best, and you know where you want to go, what your aim is, and that's enough. Do you know what I mean? Your intentions are all that matters.
I think that's, sorry, carry on.
And I was going to say, just that everything that we do, our intention is literally all that matters. When you're giving charity, again, that's something good, but again, it won't be valid if your intention isn't right. So everything is just with your intentions. As long as you know your intention is right, then Allah will like make it easy for you. And I think one thing that one of our friends told me when I was wearing hijab is that even if it is a struggle, even if it's something that you are struggling with, even not with, let's not even just say with hijab, just with anything, if it is something that you're struggling with in your faith, but you're still doing it, you'll get so much more reward than the person who can do it so easily. And that's such a beautiful thing in itself.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And that's what I mean. I think it's understanding and accepting that everyone's experience, everyone's, you know, just their experience is going to be so different, and not to put yourself on par with anybody but yourself. And ultimately, the only person you need to prove yourself to is Allah. The only person that you are doing this for is Allah. And I think where in my hijab journey, where I really found solace was in that moment of just knowing, you know, I don't need to prove myself to anybody when it comes to hijab, because this is my personal journey. And as long as I'm making that conscious effort every single day to wrap my hair and step out and you know, continuously do that, then that is a form of, and I'm going to be proud of that. And of course, you know, this is what I'm trying to say, is also removing that pressure and knowing that you will eventually find your swing of what hijab means to you and what hijab suits you, and what you will find that. And I think as soon as we put it on, I'm a very impatient person. I want to find it ASAP. I want to find it immediately. I want to find the best style, the best this. And gosh, I've been through a lot of styles and ugly moments. But that is also part of the process, and it's allowing yourself to be part of that, because like Simon said, the alternative is not wearing it at all, and that's not where we're trying to go. We're trying to move forward, right? And it doesn't matter how quick, it doesn't matter the pace, it just matters the direction. So long as you are making conscious effort to, you know, stay on that direction, stay going forward, and it's slower maybe than other people, or it's taking a little bit more time, don't let that dishearten you. Don't let that, you know, make you feel like, oh, like I might as well just take it off. I might as well not even have done this. I made a mistake. I think those, you know, it's just being easy on yourself and taking that pressure off via social media, taking that pressure off yourself, of just not having to be amazing and look fantastic immediately. Like it's human nature to just experiment and be you, and not have to show up and perform to people and be like, hey, look at me, I look amazing, because that's going to gain you nothing. You're still going to go to bed at night, you know, feeling not that great, or it's not going to do anything for you.
100%. Like, you just need to realize that hijab is just a journey itself. You'll come through different periods of life, you'll go through different transitions, you'll go through different materials of hijabs, different ways of styling it. And that itself is just a journey, and you just need to allow yourself to feel that journey and to do that journey as you feel comfortable, and also just remaining true to yourself and knowing how, you know, how you are able to kind of cope, and just knowing yourself is very important as well. Just knowing what makes you comfortable, what makes you kind of, what pushes you, what puts you off, what will help you, what will not help you. Do you need a support system? Would you be able to do this by yourself? Like, things like that also do kind of play in.
Yeah, very true.
And even though they might not be a major factor, they are still very crucial elements, just to make that slightly journey a bit easier, I guess you could say.
Yeah, sure. And guys, it's been another fantastic episode. You know, I have had so much filming these series and speaking to different amazing people about various different topics. And again, I just want to thank Salman for sharing and articulating and just opening up about your experience, because I know sometimes it's not the easiest of experiences, and you know, every person listening can probably relate. It's not the easiest of journeys. So thank you for joining us.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
And inshallah, guys, this is going to be the final episode. So Ramadan Mubarak, and I hope you have benefited from these series, from these talks and discussions. Again, if you guys have any future comments or suggestions for what you enjoyed, what could be better, then please do leave it in the comment section and let me know. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum.